Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So as you can see from the title, today I'm going to be talking about lupus, which is a disease I have had for quite a number of years, but I've never really talked about it publicly. If you didn't know, May is Lupus Awareness Month and May 10th is World Lupus Day, and because I have the disease, I thought why not make the video since there is so little awareness about the disease. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what lupus is, how I was diagnosed, my experience with it, and what I feel about it now. And instead of just talking, I'm going to also do a get ready with me because I'm trying to set the vibe of me just talking to a friend, and I feel like doing my makeup while talking about it will make it easier. Oh, first of all, I want to thank everyone who sent in questions for me to answer so that I was able to structure this video more clearly. First, I'm gonna start with my sunscreen. I wear sunscreen every day, even when I'm at home or like closed in my room all day. I wrote some notes in my phone because I didn't want to miss out on what I want to say. First of all, lupus, L-U-P-U-S. The full name, systemic lupus erythematosus, SLE, is an autoimmune disease wherein my body's immune system kind of malfunctions and attacks my own healthy body tissues. It's a chronic disease, which means it's long-term. There is no cure for the disease. It causes inflammation and pain in any part of the body, so you can't really tell where it will attack next. This is the Drunk Elephant lip balm. Wow, can you see? Yes, I like this lip balm a lot. It's really thick. The cause of this disease is unknown, but basically there are a few factors that could have triggered the disease, which includes hormones, genetics, and environment. So it's like some people might have the inherited predisposition for lupus to develop, and maybe when they're going through puberty, when there's this surge of hormones or an imbalance, or like just the body trying to figure out itself during puberty, that could trigger the onset of the lupus. None of my direct or indirect family members have any kind of autoimmune disease, so I'm not sure where I got it from. As for environment, I've read some articles that says UV rays or sunlight could have triggered the disease as well, so I'm not sure about it. Lupus also most commonly affects your skin, joints, internal organs like your kidney or heart. And as you can see from these red spots here, like here, the disease does affect my skin. It affects my joints. I've had it affect my kidney and my heart as well. Okay, now I'm gonna prime a little. I still use this Benefit Professional Primer someone gave to me a while ago. So because lupus affects many parts of the body, it can cause a lot of symptoms. Although there is a set of symptoms that you can refer to if you want to like check if you have lupus. Those are like the basic everyday symptoms, whereas there could be another whole range of symptoms coming from lupus. So the most common that you can kind of see in everyday life is the first one, extreme fatigue. That means I feel tired all the time. Pain or swelling in the joints, swelling in the hands, feet or around the eyes, headaches, low fever, sensitivity to sunlight, chest pain when breathing deeply, and the butterfly-shaped rash on the face. I don't have that, but I do have these random rashes all over my face. Okay, so extreme fatigue, in the beginning, I experienced this very clearly, very obviously. I could feel it. I could feel myself getting very tired all the time, but nowadays it's been so long that I don't even know if it's the lupus that's causing me to be tired or I'm just tired. Pain or swelling in the joints. I do get pain and swelling in my hands and my fingers. I get swelling and pain in my joints most often. I get it almost every day. You can see my fingers are a little deformed from the rheumatoid arthritis that I have from lupus. I don't get headaches or low fevers. I sometimes get chest pain when I breathe deeply, but it's super random and super sudden, and it just happens once, and then the next time I breathe in, it doesn't happen anymore. Sensitivity to sunlight. I guess I could say I am sensitive, but it doesn't affect me right after I go under the sun. It's not like I spend 5 minutes under the sun and then I get a rash everywhere, you know? It's just that if I continuously put myself in that position under the sun for a few months, not continuously, but like, you know, I keep going out in the sun, doing outdoor activities, then that will eventually cause me to relapse. Relapse meaning there's a spike in the disease activity and then I become sick again. Like right now, I'm in remission, and the goal kind of is like to keep myself healthy enough to not go into relapse. And there can also be hair loss, sores in the mouth or nose, fingers and toes turning white or blue or numb. So hair loss, I don't get it. It's not my everyday symptom. Hair loss is the trigger that tells me I'm going into relapse. So if an unusual amount of hair starts falling, then I know I'm not good. I'm just gonna go through all these basics first before I start talking about my experience. Who can get it? Anyone can develop lupus, but certain people are at higher risk of getting the disease. Women aged 15 to 44, certain racial or ethnic groups such as African American, Asian American, Asians, Hispanic, Native American, and then people who have a family member with lupus or other autoimmune disease, like I said, genetic, are at a higher risk of getting lupus. Is it contagious for others? No, it is not contagious at all. How did you find out? Back in the year end of 2015, I went on a holiday in Bangkok, and then when I came back, when I was in the airport, I got this pain in my feet. It was kind of like a throbbing pain that made it very hard to put weight or pressure on the feet. So when I would limp while I was walking, but I didn't take it as anything serious because I thought it was just tiredness from traveling. But even before that, in 2015, about August of 2015, I joined my school's cheerleading team, and then I was the base. After a few months, maybe 3 months into training, I couldn't continue because bases have to put their hand like this, and because I had lupus, I had rheumatoid arthritis that I didn't know. My wrist was really painful after trainings because it put pressure like this. So I just didn't really care about the symptoms. My feet were really painful, and then I had swollen finger joints and my wrist hurt. And then the pain in my feet got worse to the point that it was really hard to concentrate or do anything. Like I couldn't eat. I was limping in school, so it interfered with a lot of what I had to do. Like I was prefect, and it interfered with a lot of the duties that I had because I couldn't walk properly. What happened is my mom brought me to see a number of doctors to check what was wrong with me. I went to the orthopedic, the chiropractor, traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. I even went to the temple because my mom thought maybe I kind of offended a spirit or something while I was in Bangkok, but that didn't work as well. So this pain lasted barely a month. I came back from Bangkok in December. I finally got diagnosed in January when I went to see a pediatrician. She suggested that I go see a rheumatologist, and of course we had no idea what a rheumatologist was, but we went to see one in Malacca Hospital, and after running a few blood tests, they diagnosed me with lupus. Being in the doctor's clinic when I got diagnosed, I cried a lot. When the doctors told me the news, at first I was like, oh, what's that? Because obviously none of us have ever heard of lupus. She named a few things that I wouldn't be able to do. I can't go under the sunlight. She said something about getting pregnant and giving birth would be more difficult because of the disease and like the medications that I'll be taking, and also that I'll have to be on medication for my whole life. I wasn't processing much of anything else except for the fact that I wouldn't be able to go under the sun, because that means I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that I'd like to do, like outdoor activities and school extracurricular activities. Like in retrospect, it wasn't even that bad, but at that time I felt very overwhelmed, and then I just started bawling in the doctor's clinic. And I'm a person that not just never cries in public, but I never cry. Like even as a baby, I cried very little. In that doctor's office, I cried a lot. And then in the subsequent follow-up doctor appointments in the hospital, so like before every one of those appointments, I would have to do some blood tests so that they could look at it during the appointment. And at that time, I was super afraid of needles. Even in school, when we had to get those vaccinations, I would shiver and then my teeth would chatter. So at that time, because I was so overwhelmed, I was so angry at this diagnosis, that every time I went to get my blood taken, I would start crying in public. And when the nurse couldn't get my blood, because I don't know, they say my veins are very narrow, so it's super difficult to get my blood. So when they couldn't get my blood on the first try and would have to like poke and prod my skin, I would cry even more. And I was like 16 at this time. I also want to say that like when the doctors told me about my diagnosis, you know how some people say it just felt like their whole life just shattered and disappeared? Like it felt like that for me. I remember just sitting in the clinic, and then like when she told me the news, I could just see my life plans laid out before me, and then everything just crumbled. This is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop concealer. How dangerous is it for you? It can be very dangerous if I don't take care of myself. Like I have to try to lead a healthy life and like eat healthy, exercise, all that kind of stuff. How often do you get flares? What kind of treatments have you gone through? And what are their side effects? Wait, I got diagnosed in 2014, not 2016. So it's been 7 years. This is the 7th year. Over the course of that time, I've had 2 directly lupus related flares. So the first one was in the same year I was diagnosed, in 2014. After I was diagnosed, the doctors gave me some medication. Immediately, like a few days after I took, maybe 1 day after I took that medication, all the pain went away. But obviously they gave me a super high dose. It just like brought all the inflammation in my body down, and I felt super normal again. For maybe a few weeks or a couple of months, I felt totally fine. I was taking my medications daily. One day, I had this pain in my chest, in my heart or chest, my heart. It got worse every day. It got to the point where I couldn't lie down to sleep. At night, I would sleep while sitting upright, or I would, like when you sleep in class with your head on the desk, yeah, that's how I would sleep at night, because I couldn't lie down, like it just hurt too much. And then I decided to go to the hospital to get it checked, and they told me it was another flare of the disease. So that was the first flare I got, and it was pericarditis, which is an inflammation of the sac around your heart, the pericardium. And in the hospital, they gave me an IV drip of the medication I was taking, so it was like super high dose of what I was already currently taking. After 1 or 2 days, I was fine again. The second lupus directly related flare I had was in January of 2017, a few days after my birthday. So it was lupus nephritis, which is lupus affecting the kidneys, inflammation of the kidneys, and I was at stage 4, which is really bad. And if it was any worse, I could have needed a kidney transplant, but that didn't happen, so I was really lucky. Before I went into the hospital, what happened was the entire year before that, 2016, I put myself in a lot of dangerous positions. I went on a resort sort of trip where I went into the sun a lot. I even went hiking, and then after that I went to Singapore with a friend, which put me in the sun a lot as well. And then I guess the final straw was in December 2016 when I went for the DOE adventurous journey. Like I went on the camp kind of thing, and then obviously there was a lot of sun there, and like it was just a slow build up of my relapse. Starting from the second half of 2016, I started getting a lot of swelling in my hands and my feet and my face, basically everywhere. It was water retention, but I didn't know it was the lupus because I thought it was just weight gain. I was also I couldn't breathe properly. This was especially obvious because I was in Taylor's at this time doing IB. We had a running club, so I would join the running sessions, and because I went in July, and in the beginning I could still run and like catch up with the group. But maybe starting from August or September, I noticed myself not being able to catch up with the other people in the team. I didn't know why. I thought it was just my stamina. So I continued running. My chest didn't hurt. It was really hard to take a breath. Like no matter how much I breathed, I couldn't get enough oxygen. Oh, and then I also like suffered a lot of hair loss. But again, I didn't know it was something to be worried about. In January, when all that like climaxed, one day at night while I was sleeping, I got a really bad headache. Like I've never felt that kind of pain before. The pain was so bad that I vomited, and then I remember going back to sleep, and in the morning we had class, so I thought I was just like down with the flu or something. So like I didn't go to school at all the entire day. I didn't show up for extracurricular activities as well. My group of friends, they got worried, so they came into my room to check on me. They found me lying on the floor with my coat hanger on the floor as well. Like I was unconscious. They called the ambulance, and then my other roommates came, my seniors came, everyone came. They called my parents. I was taken to the emergency ward. Yeah, it was really bad. I'm gonna use this Colourpop double entendre palette. Okay, so what happened was I had a seizure, and then I just collapsed in my room. Basically in the emergency room, they had to intubate me. I was unconscious at this time. This is what I heard from family and friends. But apparently it was really difficult to do that because they said I was struggling. So now I have the card that says difficult. After everything was like okay, I was in an induced coma for 3 to 5 days. In that time where I was unconscious, they did a lot of tests on me, a lot of brain tests because I had a seizure, right? I think they did a PET scan, I did echocardiograms, I did x-rays on my chest, and then finally I had a renal biopsy to check the severity of my lupus nephritis. And they also found out that I had mitral valve regurgitation, which means
like, you know how your heart has 4 chambers, and when like the blood flows from one chamber to another, the valve closes so that there's no backflow. So what happens is like my valve doesn't close properly, so there's backflow of blood, and then the blood doesn't circulate properly.
And I still have that now, but it's very mild. That's why I still can do Qi. In that time between the pericarditis and between lupus nephritis, I also got a case of shingles, I think, or bullous SLE. I never had it diagnosed what it was, but basically I got a whole rash on my right arm, and like since then the skin on my right arm never felt the same. I feel like I lost some nerve endings here. The sensitivity on my right arm is not the same as in my left arm. After that lupus nephritis in 2017, I stayed in the hospital for maybe a couple of weeks. I did go back to school for a couple or a few weeks, but I was super tired. Staying in the hospital is like really tires you out, even though you're not doing anything. Like you lay in bed, but I feel like you just kind of lose muscle. When I was discharged from the hospital, I just felt really tired all the time. After my stay in the hospital, I went home. They put me on cyclosporine. It's an immunosuppressive drug. They said that if I got sick, I would have to go back into emergency because my immune system is so low, right? I'm very prone to... When the cyclosporine kind of depleted my white blood cells. They thought it was too dangerous. So they changed my medication. Then they put me on MMF, which is mycophenolate mofetil. But that was too much for my immune system as well. They put me on a high dosage of prednisolone. But a few weeks into that, I got a fever. I went into emergency. They put me in a general ward. They figured that my white blood cell count was too low, that it was too dangerous to be with all the other sick people. So they brought me into the nephrology department's isolation ward. Yeah, so the general ward was really packed, but then I got into the isolation ward and it was like a hotel room. Can you list the meds you're on? I have been on azathioprine, cyclosporin, medications for itchiness, I think it was loratadine, sodium valproate for a year plus after my seizure, gastric medicine in the beginning for all the other types of medication I was taking. Currently, I'm taking prednisolone at 5 milligrams, which is really little, and I want to keep it that way because too much prednisolone just like messes up your face, causes hair growth and everything. I'm on hydroxychloroquine. I've been on these two since the beginning. MMF, Cellstab, vitamin D and calcium supplements. I use this or this color, and then I like did this darker color. Now I'm using this color to line my eyelid because I don't like eyeliner. I mean, I can't do eyeliner. For blush, I'm gonna use this Glossier Crown Paint in Storm. This is my favorite blush. How has the disease affected your everyday life? So how it affects my daily life is I have joint pains, I have like these random reddish spots on my face which people mistake for all sorts of things. My skin has changed. My skin has these patches and it's become thinner as well because of the medications I'm taking. I sometimes have like this pulsing, throbbing pain in my feet and hand, and that's when it's really bad. I'm always really tired. Yes. When I go out all day, like hang out with my friends, or especially if I stay up all night, it's a different kind of tired. It's not like you want to go to sleep, but it's more like a whole aching of my body. And then my heart starts beating really fast as well when I stay up all night. So I try not to, but sometimes I go out with my friends. How can you still undergo rigorous cheer practices? Won't your joints hurt a lot? Because I'm relatively stable now, I'm not in a lot of pain, I'm really fine now. That's why I can still join. In the beginning, I was quite afraid I would get my random aches in my feet and hands, especially my wrists, that wouldn't allow me to join. But so far it's been really good. It's really great actually. I never thought I would be able to be in cheer again. Mentally and emotionally, how has it impacted your life? So initially I cried a lot. Even after the diagnosis, I had the pericarditis, right? While I was having those chest pains, I cried a lot as well. In that period of time, that was the most I've ever cried in my life, because I just thought like I finally had it diagnosed, I was fine, and then like something happens again. So it was a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, a lot of sadness. Like all this is in the beginning. I hated that it made me depend on people. My parents had to send me to the hospital all the time, and my aunts as well. I was also really upset about having to stay away from the sun, and I feel like all of that just like, you can categorize it under this huge umbrella of me hating the fact that lupus just stripped me of my identity. Because of lupus, I couldn't participate in sports day, sports class, my extracurricular activities. I had to skip school because I was in the hospital, and then I had to carry an umbrella around with me. All that wasn't me. I didn't skip school. I was like active in sports and everything, even though I wasn't good, but I really liked participating. And I wasn't one of those like Putri Lilin who carried umbrellas, you know. And I also like didn't like covering up. Like I like wearing stuff like this. Even just like long term, the possibility of like doing a lot of stuff was not there anymore. I always wanted to go on like volunteer trips, go traveling alone, but all of that is like less possible because I can't be in the sun. I was also really angry about what one doctor said. She told me if I just take my medication and lead a healthy life, I would be able to have an an ordinary life. Like she said, I would be able to get a job, get married and start a family. I just thought like, I don't want an ordinary life, you know, I want an extraordinary life. How long and what finally made you feel accepting about the changes from lupus? How long it took for me to finally accept it was, I think by the time I had the seizure, I had already accepted it, because I remember going into the hospital for pericarditis and I had to miss a school carnival, and I was really angry about that. I just cried in front of the doctor when he told me I couldn't go. But I remember being in the ward for my kidneys, realizing that I wouldn't be able to go for the volunteer trip to Vietnam, and remember not feeling extra sad. Like I remember waking up in the hospital after my coma and thinking, oh, here we go again. How long would I have to stay in the hospital this time? When I realized I wasn't angry about not going to Vietnam, I just thought it was really unfortunate. That's when I realized that I think I've accepted it. How has it changed you? I feel like in a way, it has changed me in every way. Like I wouldn't be the person I am today without lupus, because it changed my entire outlook on life. Like I realized after being in pain and not being able to just go up the stairs because my knees hurt. It's so cliche, you know, what people say, to live life in the now, to like take every opportunity that comes your way. But it's really true, you know. I feel like, yes, I've accepted it now, and it's mostly because of time. It's also easy to say that I've accepted it because I have it way easier than most people. Some people suffer a lot of complications from the disease, but I feel like I'm one of the luckier ones. Like for a while, even now, I don't really tell anyone unless it comes up, unless I have to do something and I can't because of the disease. If I say that I have lupus, then it's almost like, because of how much it has changed me, I have this fear that I am only special because I have lupus, you know? Like, there's nothing else that is interesting about me. But in every way, I am who I am because of what I went through. I don't see it as a bad thing anymore. I don't know if that makes sense. This is the Glossier Generation G lipstick in Leo. How is Malaysia's healthcare sector in managing lupus, such as availability and cost? I get all my treatment, all my medication from government hospitals. I was diagnosed in Malacca Hospital, and then after I went to college, I transferred all my medical history to Hospital Kuala Lumpur. And when I was in ICU, like I said, I was in the isolation ward. The ward is actually really nice. Everything is very heavily subsidized. When I went in after my seizure, I had a lot of scans done, right? And I stayed in the ICU for maybe a week. Everything totaled up to maximum a few hundred ringgit. And I would also say that it's really good because it's kind of like a one-stop place. If you want to do x-rays, brain scans, chest scans, most of the time they have it all in one place, which is Hospital Kuala Lumpur. The only bad thing about going to government hospitals is that the wait is really long. Everything has a long queue because there's a lot of people who go to these government hospitals. What's the best way for friends or family to show support for you or people with lupus? For me, I would just like people to remember that I can't go into the sun. So certain activities I won't be able to do, such as going to the beach or going to water parks, or when we hang out and they park their cars really far away from the restaurant or whatever, and then I'll have to walk from the car to the restaurant under the hot sun. I'm not sure for other people with lupus, but I would just say to maybe trust us when we say we are tired or in pain, because you can't see that we're tired or you can't see that we're in pain, but we actually are. Do people treat you differently after you tell them about your condition? I don't tell people about my condition unless the topic comes up, like I said. But even after I tell people, I don't think they treat me differently. Just because I don't look different or I don't act different, and I feel like because of that, it's easy for people to forget. How did the people around you react when you were first diagnosed? I didn't tell anyone. I really hated that I was sick because I was always a very healthy child. I seldom even get the flu or anything. Also because I didn't want any pity, because it made me someone I was not. I didn't tell anyone in the hopes that I could still be normal, I could still be myself in everyone's mine. As for family, they were all very concerned. Even my extended family, they would ask me how I was because I didn't know how to handle that. Like, it just made me really angry. They kept asking me how I was, if I was okay, and obviously I wasn't okay, but I didn't know how to say that. For a long time, I just smiled through the frustration and like nodded and said, yeah, I'm fine. Any advice to people who have or were recently diagnosed with lupus? I just want to say that you must take your medication. That is all for the video. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching to the end. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel so I can get them coins. See you in the next one. Bye!